We are born with our super consciousness activated and awake. But the soul in the past made agreements that we would allow ourselves to become unconscious so that we could play the game of life and play the character in this game. So we may as well have fun. We may as well enjoy the playground that is Earth. As we move through childhood, usually by age 7, we start to take on and to record other people's programs, their unconscious programming and conscious programming, because we're often told who we should be, how we should be. Be a good boy. Good. And that will mean something different to every parent. And then your perception of that will translate it in your own way. So that will be a combination of what good is from your parents' point of view, or your caregivers, or your guardians, your teachers, people around you, people you look up to for advice, for survival. And then also how you interpret being good. So what being good will mean to you. So if you're told, Sammy, be the best. If your mother says, Sammy, you need to be the best boy. Instead of maybe interpreting that as your best self, Sammy might look into his peer group, his classmates, his friends, and he'll see that maybe the most sporty boy gets the accolades. Maybe the most fun, entertaining boy gets all the best attention. And then Sammy will take that program, his ego will interpret that as the best, and he will press play on that program and start playing that out and start living that out in his life. Unfortunately, that's not where internal connection or internal power flows from. That's not Sammy's authentic best self. So then Sammy will grow up and perhaps become obsessed with his appearance, obsessed with the gym, because he looked at that other boy who was sporty and won awards as the best. And he now feels that he's not the best unless he embodies that program, those judgments, that thing of being sporty and fit and attractive. Physically attractive, because I think attractiveness is something that's inside a person's soul that oozes out when they are their authentic self. Or if they interpreted being the best as being a straight A student, getting the top marks, making sure he was top of the class, Sammy may grow up to become a workaholic. And workaholism is every bit as bad as alcoholism. He might feel that he's never enough, so he has to be spinning his wheels all the time. And therefore he ends up having a broken marriage and a fractured relationship with his kids, because he's not enough unless he's the top, the best in society's terms, because that was told to him from the time he was a child. So I'm sharing this with you today because being conscious means being aware of our programs, and we all have programs running from childhood. Your parents could have had the best intentions in the world, and I'm sure many of them did. But, you know, we cannot prevent our children, or even when we were children, we cannot prevent our picking up of programs that just didn't do us any good. I was having lunch with colleagues today, and one of my lovely colleagues, she mentioned that playing netball as a child, you know, she'd have her netball skirt on, and as she was leaving, some boy said to her that she had footballer knees, and she never got over that. It left her. She took that program and it kept running to a point where for the rest of her life she was embarrassed or worried or insecure about the look of her footballer knees, which is crazy because she's a gorgeous woman and she does not have footballer knees, whatever that is. And even if she did, so what? It's amazing how that superficial comment thrown onto the wind by a boy had such an impact on her. It restricted her freedom. I know that's a minor example. It doesn't matter. It still tells the story of how you're told something, you know, and we absorb it and we bring that into our everyday life to a point where maybe with that situation, maybe she didn't choose short dresses, or she didn't ever dare show her knees, which that has a long-term impact, you know. That's a restriction on choice. But again, it is a choice because you have to choose not to buy in to other people's programs. So one person's idea of beauty should not be your idea, or does not have to be your idea of beauty. One person's idea of liberation and freedom will look very, very differently to your interpretation of freedom. The whole thing is not to be influenced. We need to get to our own core truth. And to get to our core truth, we need awareness. We need consciousness. We require truthfulness and sincerity and a deep honesty with ourselves and others. If you're dating somebody right now, if you're getting to know maybe your partner's family, or you're making new friends, or you're in the beginning of a beautiful romantic relationship, it's my advice to you to start as you mean to go on. And that means being yourself, showing up present and 100% you. So you're on the date. Don't just say, oh yes, I really like Thai food, if you don't like Thai food. Own your truth. And it doesn't have to be a negative. It's simply showing how you have defined your preferences. Same with your friends, you know. They may want to go out dancing to a wild nightclub, but you may be feeling like you just want to go for a coffee somewhere into a cozy cafe. It's important that we are honest and say how we really feel. And this has been an exercise I've been practicing in my own life. When someone asks me, do I want this? I'm taking a moment to really be real with myself first and getting clear. Do I want to go here? Do I want to do that? Do I want to spend my weekend in, do I want to take a trip to Wales or do I want to take a trip to the west of Ireland? It's about getting really honest with myself first and getting clear about what I want. Not immediately jumping into, oh, well, that person wants to go to Wales, so I should want to go to Wales. Because that will just end up causing resentment. It will end up causing a lack of congruency and a lack of union, because you will eventually feel, if you're constantly saying, oh yeah, I love going out to wild nightclubs and getting drunk and having a great time, and that's not who you are, you're going to end up feeling exhausted and resentful, and you're going to feel like you're just people pleasing. And then you're going to pull away from that person, and it's not that person's fault because they can't read your mind. You have to be honest about if you want to go to the nightclub or not. So you end up then kicking yourself in the butt because you knew you didn't actually really want to go. And then you pull away from that person, or even worse, you find a reason to project that resentment, that frustration, anger on the other person. You end up having a fight with them at the nightclub and storming home because you didn't want to be there in the first place. So this is why being aware and being conscious and being awake are so important. It's not just about the beautiful vibes of meditation, which is great, and I welcome that. And it's not just about all the lovely spiritual benefits, but it's about everyday life. It's about bringing that honesty into the everyday. And it's about being real. And then if the possible friend, the new friend says, well, I love going to nightclubs. I don't really, if they're being honest, I don't want to sit in a cozy cafe at the weekend. Or I like going, I want to go to Wales. I don't want to go to the west of Ireland. Well, then you both show up in an honest, conscious state, and you can make a clear, healthy decision